Hello and welcome to the Titus Timeout podcast. I'm Jenny Abney-Civy and today's topic is what are VAV diffusers? I discussed VAV boxes in some of the earlier podcasts. VAV diffusers do basically the same thing as VAV boxes. They vary the air volume to the space. However, unlike VAV boxes, they do it at the diffuser itself. A VAV diffuser has a damper in the diffuser that modulates the airflow into the space. Our VAV diffuser is called the T3SQ. The damper assembly is mounted in our Omni diffuser. We chose the Omni because it has very good performance to start with, and as the damper moves up and down inside the diffuser, the airflow pattern varies to maintain good airflow. So now let's look at how the T3SQ works. There are actually two kinds, a thermal version and a digital version. The thermal version is called the T3SQ-2, and the digital is the T3SQ-4. So let's start with the thermal. The thermal actuator and damper are mounted on the back of the Omni plaque. So let's draw an Omni here. There's your back pan and there's your plaque. The damper sits right in here and opens and closes how much air can get through the neck and through the back pan. The actuator assembly sits in the middle of the diffuser up into the neck, and there are two legs that hook into the damper. On the thermal version, the damper is controlled by a thermal wax pill. The wax pill expands and contracts as it heats and cools and moves the arms up and down to control the damper position. Just like a VAV box, the diffuser needs to know the set point and the space temperature to know how much air to supply the space. On the T3SQ, the diffuser has an induction port right in the center of the diffuser face. Air is induced into this induction port and around the tip of the wax pill, allowing the diffuser to determine the room temperature. The set point is set on the actuator itself. There are rings on the actuator that you rotate to adjust the heating and cooling set points. Technically, it's sensing the temperature at the ceiling of the room, but the unit is calibrated to account for this location. The T3SQ will work well with typical ceilings of heights up to around 12 feet. One cool thing about the T3SQ is that due to the shape of the back pan, as the damper closes, the airflow pattern actually changes from a circular pattern, something like this, to kind of a star pattern coming out the corners, something like this. This variable geometry pattern allows the T3SQ to maintain its jet velocity as the airflow is reduced, which increases the mixing at lower airflow volumes and maintains comfort. The digital version, the T3SQ-4, works in a similar manner, except that instead of a wax actuator assembly, it has a digital controller assembly. You can get temperature sensors on board in the same location as the thermal in the center of the diffuser, or you can get a thermostat that you can use in the space. We'll go into the digital and all of its capabilities in a future podcast. So why would you use a VAV diffuser instead of a VAV box? One common reason is that you have a space where an occupant is uncomfortable. Let's say you have a couple offices here and a VAV box here supplying all the offices with air. Draw in some diffusers, draw a little ductwork to them. Okay, say you have this guy here in this office and he's hot. And then over here in this office you have another person, but they're cold. So now you have thermostat wars where they're both turning the system up and down trying to maintain comfort. Put the thermostat on the wall over here. What you could do is take the person who's cold and give them a VAV diffuser. Now say the set point for the VAV box is 73 degrees. The person with the VAV diffuser can turn theirs to 76 degrees, and as it gets too cold, the damper will modulate to close off to keep the space at 76 degrees. The T3 is also very handy for retrofitting constant volume applications because the installation happens at the diffusers and not in the ceiling and all the ductwork. They're also low-profile devices, which is good if the ceiling heights in the building are low. If you're retrofitting a constant volume system, you are going to want to add pressure relief. You want to be able to adjust the pressure in the system if all your VAV diffusers close at the same time. You'll want to put a pressure tap about 2/3 down the ductwork that would open and close the pressure relief damper in the system. Our ZECV or ZQCV are designed just for this, to provide standalone pressure control in this application. We don't see much of it in the US, but you can also do whole buildings with VAV diffusers. This is pretty common in other countries. So that's how VAV diffusers work. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and thanks for taking the time out with us.